Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Sorry to keep you waiting. Our last
No
interview
problem,
ran a
no
lot longer than
problem.
we thought.
Wait, I can't see it.
It's no problem. It's all good. Appreciate you being here.
Of course.
All right, so we're gonna get right into it, if that's cool with you.
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay.
All right. So Jesse, thank you for being here. So could you just state your exact role with this film project?
Sure. So I am the director and I wrote the film. I did the art direction, animation, sound design. I did the editing, script. I did, yeah, pretty much everything. So, and I'm,
Wow.
I'm the founder of the studio as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's cool. So my first question is, and they surround the core themes of representation.
Yes.
How did you approach representing the experience of a neurodivergent young girl with authenticity and care?
That's a great question, and I'm really happy that you're asking that. That was the core of this film, that we want it to be authentic because it's becoming a more common situation, but a lot of people don't understand it, and it's not being represented well enough. So my wife, who's our executive producer, is also a trained therapist. So she's a
Okay.
marriage and family therapist, and so she
Mm-hmm.
deals with a lot of children who are on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
who have neurodivergent conditions, that on a whole gamut of case by case situations. So she was able to bring a lot of that knowledge into this film, and to make sure that we were kind of artistically and visually representing a feeling
Mm-hmm.
for someone who can't speak. There's
Okay.
no dialogue in this entire film by
Oh,
the girl
wow.
Tora, but
Mm-hmm.
she can hear her headphones are the soundtrack of her thoughts. So it's not really the music that you're hearing. Those are her thoughts that she's
Mm-hmm.
generating in real time to represent her feelings. So it's set to music because she's wearing the headphones, but it's a way for her to communicate to herself of what she's feeling. So, but yeah, I think as far as the authenticity, that was something that we definitely tried to strive for. Um, not necessarily, it's not necessarily something that you can say, okay, this is a clear diagnosis of what this
Mm-hmm.
girl has. It's not a DSM-5 code that you can look up. It is more, what is this feeling of when we see this girl in the environment and the challenges that she's facing? Do we understand the emotion of what she's feeling? That's kind of where I was hoping to kind of focus on, because the granularity of
Mm-hmm.
the authenticity of what specific situation that she's diagnosed with, we didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to get too much into the weeds on that, but we wanted to get into the feeling of what she's experiencing.
That's beautiful because music is the language that is a universal language that everyone can feel. Everyone has a different
Mhm.
feeling to it. So
Yes.
that's genius. That's beautiful. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
next question is, Jesse, what message do you hope audiences take away regarding selective mutism and
Mhm.
how internal worlds are expressed?
Yeah, I think understanding that not everyone can communicate the same way,
Right.
that we take for granted that individuals can readily communicate the same way we're demanding of them. And if you think about just a simple, there's a scene that I'm writing for this film as a feature where she's in a hospital and she's asked by the nurse, "What is your name?" And
Right.
if you can't say that,
Right.
imagine a world where just something as simple as identifying who you are is not possible. And so with that, that challenge, trying to identify that challenge in a character, and obviously this is a very short film, right? It's only
Mm-hmm.
3.5 minutes or so, but it's very complex. The
Yes.
characters and the theme is very complex, and trying to make sure that audiences take away this idea that there's a whole world out there of
Yes.
individuals that are not well represented in Cinderella, and all the Mickey Mouse things that are out there that we all love. But there's a population that do not identify with those characters. And I would love to be able to create more content for different groups that feel like they're underrepresented.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. As a person that does have a background in special needs, I've dealt with children with behavioral problems, disabilities, trachs,
Yes,
and we always meet them where they're at, not where people expect them to be.
exactly.
And we
Yeah,
scaffold from where they are and come up from
absolutely.
there. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse. Yo,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, it's all right. I mean, I was just also adding that, um, you know, this story is a personal story for us that roughly based on my wife coming from Japan. She was born and raised in Japan, and she came to San Francisco.
Mhm.
And this idea of what does it feel like to be uprooted? And then
Mm.
she also within her family there are individuals who are neurodivergent. So it's very personal, this idea of the
Mhm.
transplanting of cultures to a new place and to understand just on a normal basis, that's
Yes,
very traumatic.
it's
But if
very.
you add a layer of complexity of neurodivergence on top of that, it lends itself to a story that I felt like really needed to be told.
Absolutely. Coming from another country, even for people who don't have those challenges, we
Mhm,
know that going from one country to another country has all kinds of challenges,
mhm.
and it's hard to assimilate in cultures and learn
Yes.
all the different ways to behave,
Yes.
even the unspokenness of certain
Mhm.
things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a phrase, there's a lyric in the song that says, that it's this idea of that just because she's quiet doesn't mean she doesn't understand. And this is something that is fundamental really to this character where her silence, her selective mutism is interpreted by the others as that she doesn't get it. And that's really at this heart of the story is that she's there and she's
Yes.
complex and she's a real, she has a lot of feelings that just need to be expressed. And so that's kind of what the story we're hoping to tell in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Because I always say that silence speaks louder than words sometimes. It's a
Mhm.
very powerful tool when you're
Yes,
quiet. All the
absolutely.
emotions come out.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. How did
Mhm.
you translate, Jesse, the protagonist's
Mhm.
internal K-pop soundtrack into the film's vibrant visual language?
Yeah. So I think we knew we wanted to write something that was kind of, edgy and poppy and it had a fun, beat to it to catch
Mhm.
the attention of the audiences. Um, I it's part of kind of the contrast of the film, right? There's very, very high saturations of color. And then there's a girl that is not speaking, and
Yes.
it's a very one-sided dialogue with her mother. The mother is talking a lot. She's not
Mhm.
saying anything. And then you have this kind of fun and energetic song. So it's a kind of this valley of opposites, where the environment is fun and vibrant, the song is fun and vibrant, and yet the girl is quiet and reserved. And that
Mhm.
was that was what we are going for, this like valley approach
Very
of telling
powerful.
the story.
Yes, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Wonderful. Can you share examples of how the K-pop aesthetic influenced the cinematography or editing?
Um, I think, well, the editing was really, yeah, definitely based on the music. So the music came first and
Mhm.
then setting the editing to the music was essential so that it really hit the beats very, very, precisely. The cinematography was based on living in San Francisco. It's a love letter to San Francisco, showing how this new world could be beautiful. And the mother takes all these efforts to show her around all of San Francisco, and they go to Japantown to try to
Oh,
connect with
wow.
that. They go to the Castro Street, they go, to
Mhm.
Fisherman's Wharf, and they see all of these different places. So it's really this love letter to San Francisco, trying to help um, the girl, Tora, kind of feel more at home. And that's kind
Mhm.
of the aim of the mother was to kind of to bring her to this new place and to try to, incorporate some of the beauty that is there and let her kind of realize that this is a safe place for her.
That's beautiful. Thank
How,
you.
how did you utilize sound design and music to convey her emotional state
Mhm.
and internal monologue when she couldn't speak?
Yeah,
Question.
that's a great question. So that
Yes.
is at the heart of the film, really. It's when you're writing a film, a screenplay, and a script that is one person talking, the other person listening. And
Mhm.
how do you make that interesting for audiences? How do you imagine this film without any sound in it? Imagine
Yes.
watching it just without the soundtrack. And it's a very different experience.
Yes, very different.
It's actually a lot sadder.
It
There's a
is.
lot of darkness to it. And so we wanted audiences to like the film, to want to watch it again, to resonate with it. Um, the tonality of the film had to match the rhythm of the film of the music. It was really
Mhm.
important. So I
Mhm.
think the editing of the film had to be kind of at the same pace as some of those beats, so some of the tempos. My background isn't heavily into music, so for me, it was a huge learning curve. So it was okay. This is what the song I want to write. This is the lyrics I
Mhm.
want to write. This is the tempo of the song that I need, and then
Yes.
bringing that together with the animation, re-editing. I re-edited it so many times just to
I can
get that
imagine.
right feel.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's
That's
never done.
wonderful.
It's you just the films are never done. They're only abandoned. So at some point, it's like, okay, the deadline's tomorrow. I got to get it out. So
Just get it done.
yeah.
In what
Thank you.
ways, Jesse, does imagination fueled by the K-pop music function as a vital tool for emotional expression and self-discovery in the narrative?
I think because of I guess it's the girl's imagination, right? It's Tora's imagination, and we know so many children, my children included, who listen to K-pop all the time, and
Mhm.
I can see how they pick up and they dance and they are
Yeah.
so carefree and they love it. It is so powerful as a music genre, and especially right now. So
Yes.
I wanted to try to incorporate that. I wanted to try to bring in some of that vibrancy, that energy of that song, and especially just the genre of K-pop and J-pop, um, and that was really that was important. That was to try to match that level of energy in the storytelling. So I'm not sure if that's to answer your question exactly, but I think when we were writing the song, it was really of critical importance.
As a director, writer, editor, and a cinematographer, you oversee and oversaw multiple key creative and technical roles. How did this concentrated control influence the final look, pace, and the intimate feeling of the film?
Yeah, I think that's
And
when
CJ, I
yeah
also wanted to add, you also have a background in Pixar. And how
yes
does that all relate to what Clay's
yes yeah.
question is?
Yeah, so for almost 16 years, I was at Pixar as a technical
Uh-huh.
director, a lead, and a senior technical director. And I was very fortunate for 10 years to be one of only five senior generalists at the studio. Most people are very specialized, but they do one thing very, very well. And they're probably amongst the best in the world at that one
Mhm.
very specific thing. My role was to be very familiar with the entire pipeline, really, and to take something from a concept development all the way to final product. And so there that basically all that knowledge and all that
Yes.
experience over 10 years at Pixar directly applies to wearing all those hats in this new
Yeah.
studio. And
Mhm.
thank goodness for that, because otherwise it would be a very
Yes.
different experience. So I have some familiarity
Mhm.
with understanding how the pipeline needs to be created, how the assets need to be generated, how they need to be the art direction. We do everything by pencil in the beginning, the way Pixar
Mhm.
does, the way Disney did it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
We want to be true to the legacy of filmmaking, and
Authentic.
at the same time, um, integrate new technologies, but
Mhm.
doing so only in a hybrid way to between frame animation, so that we're not letting the generative AI take over,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
really important.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So
Mm.
I knew that in order to make something brand
Mhm.
new and at the scale that we wanted to do, especially in the early days, that Gen AI had to be involved. And
Mhm.
it represents too much potential. However, it also represents a great risk if it's not used ethically.
Yes.
And I've talked to many artists. And initially, very, very early on, I created a copyright detection system internally
Oh,
that
good.
scans for anything that we do to make sure nothing accidentally slips in that is not ours. So even though I do all the character designs, I do everything, I sketch it and then I represent it in computers, there is a tendency for some AI to insert their own stuff
Mm.
without you asking for it. So
Wow.
it was really important to do all this copyright detection of all the images to make sure this is our work and not anyone else's. That would be the last thing we wanted to do, was to not have an authentic film based on anyone else's work. We're not interested in that.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank
Mhm.
God.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
What was the, and this might go to my next question, but what was the most challenging technical or creative aspect of bringing this deeply
Yeah.
internal story, one about navigating
Situation.
silence and
Mhm.
just finding an internal roar into a short film format? You sound like
Mhm.
you already kind of touched on that, but
Yeah.
if you can expound upon that a little more at the expense
Yeah.
of repeating yourself, I'd just love to hear a little more into that.
Yeah. I think the challenges were technology. for sure. It was how
That's
do you
embracing technology, yeah.
yeah, is the story was there. And the story
Uh-huh.
exists on paper. It's beautiful. I was crying
Uh-huh.
every time I was reading it. I knew I wanted to make it. It was how do we use technology in a way that I can, as an individual, make something from start to finish, and having it of the highest caliber of work. So being at Pixar, it's never good enough. The bar is raised and raised and raised, and I still feel that way. So to release things that are not at the highest internal standards is really hard. So for me, some of the greatest challenges were technology, finding the right technology to enable me to have an authentic visual that I wanted. I had the opportunity to talk to Pete Docter and Frank Oz in April,
Mhm.
and I asked them about AI as directors. And Frank said, any tool that a director can use to take their feelings and their vision and give it to the audiences and still maintain that integrity should
Uh-huh.
be embraced. He said, however, if the AI is interjecting and is changing what you really want and
Mhm.
doing it to what it wants, then that has to be really addressed. So that
Oh,
has to be
definitely.
cautiously approached and
Yes.
evaluated. So I think that's something that I agree with a lot. So it's as long as it's a tool that allows us to become more creative, but still maintaining the integrity of our initial art, that's really
Mhm.
important.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Mhm.
What do you hope the films premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival? So first off, again, congratulations on
Thank
Congrats.
you.
being
Thank
Yes.
accepted
you.
into it, having this feature there. But what do
Thank
you
you.
hope the film's premiere at Tribeca helps achieve in terms of its reception and future
Mhm.
life?
Um, I am still trying to come to terms with this idea that I'm going to be at Tribeca. It's still not sunken in quite yet.
Yes.
Um, when I received the phone call, I just didn't even know. I didn't know what to say. I was completely without words. And to know that Whoopi Goldberg personally saw it and she loved
Wow.
it, and she has been a strong advocate for this film since day one. So
Oh,
that
wonderful.
that just blew me away. I respect her immensely, and I know with her background and
Hmm.
her advocacy for animation and
Yes.
neurodivergence, I didn't even know that she was a part of the judging process. So
Mhm.
it was just it caught me off guard, and I was really
Yeah.
really grateful for that.
Yeah.
I guess the takeaway from Tribeca, I don't know. I feel like this is already more than I could have ever wished. So if we come away with the final selection, if we win, it's great. If we don't win, it's still great. There's no
Yes.
downside to this at this point. I see the other competition of that category. They're all amazing.
Everyone's
I'm
amazing.
so grateful to
Yes.
be on stage with those directors. It's incredible. So
Yes.
um, some icons on there's so many people that are submitting amazing work. So for me, I'm just still floored about this whole thing. I would love to be able to take the spotlight and say, okay, this is what we can do. This is what we can do with very little budget. And let's keep going. Let's build this momentum further and let's see what other stories we can tell. I have four other films that I've finished. There are various different film festivals, and I have three more that are in pre-production. So very busy, writing, doing art direction, and but yeah, it's the perfect opportunity for me to really kind of take what I've learned. So Roar was the very first film that I made, and so since then, I feel like the complexity and the storytelling is only increased. So it was definitely a proof of concept when I first started.
Mm. Who are some of your mentors along the way on this journey?
There's so many. I was really fortunate to meet Miyazaki. So Hayao
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki-san,
Yes.
Studio Ghibli, his legacy will be eternal.
Hmm.
He is such a pure artist, and his imagination is just there is no limit to what he can imagine. And I love talking with him, and his answers to questions were so simple and confident that it was just, of course, this is how I wrote it. It makes sense. Like you don't have to explain it to a child. This is just the
Yes.
way it is. So I love that. I love that he had spent so much time understanding the worlds that he created, that
Yes.
he really understood it, and it was beautiful. So definitely
Wow.
Miyazaki is one of the strongest.
Uh-huh.
There's so many great directors at Pixar and Warner Brothers, and I think DreamWorks. There's so many great directors out there. I think studying film in school, I love Charlie Chaplin, and I hope to
Oh,
make a
yes.
film in the future that it's going to be a silent film. So Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton were huge influences
Mm-hmm.
on my storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, there's everyone, Citizen Kane, the
Yes.
cinematography of Greg Toland rather. So I think, yeah, there's so many people that have influenced me. And yeah, it's hard to to solidify just one, but I think
Mm-hmm.
Miyazaki right now is one of the
Yes.
strongest influences, probably because my kids love to watch it. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. And so, what would you say to people, young people who are inspiring to go into this field?
Yes, that's a really good question. I get that a lot. I get
Mhm.
students, I get postgrads, I get people
Yes.
that are just starting out in the industry. They're asking, what's this AI stuff?
Yeah.
Do I need to learn everything? Do I just need to open up AI and play with it? And that terrifies me, honestly. Like
Oh,
it would be the equivalent of taking a kindergartner and saying, here's a calculator. You don't need to study math at all.
yes,
Just here's a
absolutely.
calculator. You'll get
Yeah.
all your answers. I
It's
think
scary.
it's a tool, but you have to have the knowledge, the experience,
Mm-hmm.
the craft to utilize that tool in a way to make amazing things. To rush and to bypass all of the
Mm-hmm.
education and
Mm-hmm.
experience of learning how to draw, to sketch, to paint, to do photography, to do
Mm-hmm.
2D animation, 3D animation. Those things are essential because
Very.
otherwise you become only a part of the AI's world versus allowing AI to be a part of your world. It's a very
Right.
different orientation. But yeah, it's fundamentally, and that's hard to convince students of. They said, you want me to struggle through all these things when I can just push a button? And they said, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you have to. You really, really do. So I'm encouraging people to continue the course, learn about AI, but don't rush to it.
Mm-hmm.
Go through the steps of learning the traditional forms of animation, to story, to collaborate with people. It's really, really fundamentally important.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, those are all the questions that we have. But thank you,
Of
Jesse, for
course.
taking the time today. And we will continue to
Thank you
support
for
this film
continuing to
project and
inspire
anything else you
us.
do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk again when another film comes
Yes,
out.
absolutely. We look
All
forward
right,
to it.
and well, thank you again for your
Thank you
time,
again. We
Jesse.
appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully.
Yes, I
Yeah.
hope so too.
Okay.
All right, have
Wonderful.
a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.